Right now at 10, we are on the weather watch for another round of rain, thunderstorms possibly impacting part of the morning. The latest timeline and a look ahead to better weather.
And tonight on Connecticut's news station, a church family in one city recovering after a large fire damaged their building. We'll hear from the people who attend services there as they rally together in the face of adversity.
Also, a homicide suspect appears in court after a violent weekend in one Connecticut city. We'll have the latest on 2 deadly shootings.
Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And we begin tonight on the Weather Watch as we are expecting more rain in parts of Connecticut tomorrow. Good evening, I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. Thanks for joining us. After a gloomy and wet Monday, the humidity, though, is really starting to increase out there. Here's a look at some of the rain in Hartford earlier today, though. We've been talking about the possibility of storms across the state tonight and tomorrow, and it certainly feels like storms are in that with that change in humidity.
That is true. Let's check in with meteorologist Ryan Breton now for a first look at the forecast. And Ryan, I know you're watching storms out to the west and trying to determine where they're going to go.
Exactly right, Brent and Sarah. Hi, everybody. A lot of rain to the west. This was once a cluster of severe storms this evening in parts of Pennsylvania down through the mid-Atlantic. But it's weakening now. A lot of rain, thunder, and lightning in upstate New York. Around here, we just have some light to moderate rain falling in western Connecticut right now from New Milford down to Danbury and into Ridgefield as well. Looking at the bigger picture, you can see this line of storms, which was very impressive earlier this evening, is now weakening. But later tonight, there may be another cluster of storms that forms offshore and comes up into eastern Connecticut, especially affecting part of tomorrow morning. So we'll go through this hour by hour. Midnight tonight, light to moderate rain, maybe a little bit of lightning, but nothing too concerning at midnight. Once we get toward about 4 in the morning, though, we'll have to watch whatever downpours and storms develop, particularly in eastern Connecticut. There's a little bit of spin in the atmosphere, too, as a warm front's lifting through tomorrow morning. So whatever storms do form could become severe, and there may even be an isolated spin-up tornado somewhere in southern New England. My thinking right now is that it's more favored in eastern Connecticut over into Rhode Island and eastern Massachusetts, but we'll have to watch the radar closely tomorrow morning and be sure to check in with the Fox 61 Morning News for that. Here's a look at the planner. A chance for a few storms in the morning. A couple could be strong, particularly in eastern Connecticut. Then a break midday before a pop-up shower or storm non-severe in the afternoon, and then drier, less humid air moves in later in the day. I'll be back with much more on these storms and a look ahead through the rest of the week coming up.
All right, sounds good, Ryan. Thank you. The East Shore Health Department says mosquitoes in Branford and East Haven have tested positive for West Nile virus. The mosquitoes were collected last week at the Hosley Avenue site in Branford and near Kenneth Street in East Haven. No human cases of West Nile have been reported in Connecticut so far this year.
Well, new here at 10, a Fox 61 follow-up after a historic church in Norwich went up in flames over the weekend. Fortunately, firefighters stopped the fire from spreading to the entire building, but the damage is still pretty extensive. Fox 61's Gabby Molina is live in Norwich tonight with more on the fire. Gabby.
Sarah, the congregation that uses this church now just moved in a few months ago. Before that, it was known as Taffville Congregational Church. Today, the current leader of the church and the former leader of the church met for the first time, brought together by tragedy to share a message of hope. For more than 100 years, the Green Church has been a landmark in the Taffville neighborhood of Norwich. Saturday night, the historic church went up in flames.
The first thing came to me, where are we going to pray? What are we going to do?
Father Thomas Calta says he was at the church until almost 9 o'clock that evening. Shortly after he got home, he received the call.
A gentleman who lives across the street, he called me. He said, "Father, sorry to tell you, the building was on fire." I couldn't drive. I had to call someone to drive me. I couldn't.
Days later, the damage is still painful to look at. For him and former pastor of 15 years, Jack Shackles.
It's sad. I mean, it's quite sad. I've been here a couple of days now just to sort of process it.
Firefighters were able to stop the flames from engulfing the entire building, but most of the fire damage was to the sanctuary area. The water damage and debris extend to other parts of the church.
Everything is gone, and because of the water, you can feel that there's a buckling and the settling of the hardwood floor.
Though the future is now uncertain, the community has rallied, already raising some funds for the church and offering their support.
What gives me hope is the support of the people. You know, the love.
And leaning on their faith to get through this difficult time.
We may not know how to fix it or where the money might come from, but certainly God is here and here with the people.
Yeah.
And I think it will work out.
It's still unclear how the fire started. The cause is under investigation, but Norwich Police is asking anyone with information about the fire to give them a call. Live in Norwich, Gabby Molina, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Gabby, thank you. It is a beautiful old church building. New at 10 tonight, we now know the name of the man who died after being pulled from the water at Rocky Neck State Park. Deep has identified him as 78-year-old Lee Min of Hartford. Niantic firefighters say first responders were called to the beach at around 1 Sunday afternoon for a man in cardiac arrest. Lifeguards performed CPR. He was then rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The exact cause of death is unknown at this point.
Police are investigating a death in New Haven. A body was found outside a soup kitchen. The body was found this morning on State Street. Police have not identified the person nor said how the person died. That's still under investigation. A violent weekend in Hartford, and we're learning new details about a suspect.
Yeah, police say 3 men were killed in 2 separate and targeted shootings early yesterday morning. Fox 61's Samaya Hernandez was in the courtroom earlier today as one homicide suspect faced a judge.
Bail for Chan Williams Bay was raised to $5 million. He had previously posted $805,000 in bond on 8 separate pending cases. Authorities say he was supposed to be on supervision when some of the same detectives arrested him on Sunday. Chan Williams Bay facing Judge David Gold Monday.
This defendant is seen on video. He's identified both in a photo array as well as by officers who are aware of who he is, as walking up to the victim here, shooting him as well as another party.
Detectives swift to arrest the 27-year-old on Sunday, hours after a so-called targeted midnight shooting on Weathersfield Avenue that killed 24-year-old Jordan Phillips and sent another man to the hospital. Williams Bay was arrested 2 years earlier in connection to a shooting that killed an innocent bystander and was free on bond.
In 2021, assault in the first degree with intent to cause serious injury, pistol without a permit, posted a $250,000 bond.
Has a child on the way.
Mayor Luke Bronin and Police Chief Jason Thody holding a rare Sunday press conference saying Williams Bay, who has 8 pending cases before the court, was supposed to be home under intensive pretrial supervision.
The backlog is too long.
Bronin urging judicial branch officials to prioritize a backlog in firearm cases.
I hope that by highlighting this case and this history, we can ensure that those individuals who are responsible for repeatedly committing acts of violence in our community face swift, serious consequences and are not left free to commit further violence.
Deadly gun violence also ravished Sterling Avenue early Sunday. 23-year-old William Tisdall and 27-year-old Hakeem Dixon both died in what authorities describe as an ambush-style targeted attack. Anti-violence advocate Reverend Henry Brown, in court Monday to support victims' families, wants to see City Hall speak out against all violent crimes.
If you want to talk about changing the perception of violence, you got to reach out to the people that have been affected by this violence.
The judge also raised the bond amount on all of Williams Bay's 8 pending cases. He is due back in court in 6 weeks. Authorities say that the 2 fatal shootings over the weekend are not connected. In Hartford, I'm Samaya Hernandez, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
New at 10, Norwich police are looking for a man accused of robbing a bank. Happened at the Dime Bank on Norwich Avenue just after 1:30 this afternoon. Investigators say the man walked into the bank and handed a teller a note demanding money. He left with an undisclosed amount of cash. Anyone with information should call police.
A man is dead tonight after a motorcycle crash in Seymour. First responders found 28-year-old Michael Marone suffering from serious injuries on Great Hill Road last night. Police say Marone went off the road and hit a utility pole. He ended up dying at the hospital.
Governor Ned Lamont speaking for the first time about the Department of Justice and their takeover of the investigation into the Connecticut State Police ticket scandal. An audit was published last month. In it, it says more than 25,000 traffic tickets written by troopers may have been been falsified or had skewed racial data. The data appeared to show white drivers were pulled over and ticketed more than drivers of other ethnicities. Governor Lamont maintains he's not jumping to any conclusions until the investigations are over.
You know, the feds are going to look into whether this was done purposefully, intentionally, or whether it was done inadvertently by mistake. What Deirdre's going to do is take a look at what happened and how can we make sure this never happens again. Is that technology? Is that leadership? Is that the platform? Let's make sure this never happens again.
The tickets in question were issued between 2014 and 2021.
The Connecticut Water Company and Operation Fuel have announced they will expand their partnership to help customers who need financial assistance. Free water conservation kits will now be offered to income-eligible customers, and that will help them save nearly 15% on their water bills. The kits include easy-to-install devices that reduce water use for faucets, showers, and toilets.
Excitement grows for tomorrow's Mega Millions $1.5 billion jackpot, and Connecticut is already winning big thanks to the lottery. The Connecticut Lottery announces $412 million in profits was returned to the state's general fund in the past year. That money goes to services like public health, libraries, public safety, and education. This is the third year in a row where Connecticut Lottery has profited more than $410 million. As for the Mega Millions jackpot, the record drawing is happening tomorrow with a jackpot of $1.55 billion on the line. You can watch tomorrow's drawing at 10:59 on our sister station, the CW20. We'll be sure to have the winning numbers for you as well on the Fox 61 News at 11.